It's been said in the past that our ancient male ancestors disdained promiscuous women because of potential for STDs. This makes sense at first, but it doesn't make sense when you consider that women tend to find men who have had a lot of partners more attractive than men who have not. If it were the case that we dislike promiscuous women because of STDs, then it would not make sense for women, who are considerably more risk-averse than men, to prefer men with more partners. If you're not very experienced with women, as an illustration of this idea, think of the Taylor Swift song Blank Space, where she says, "You know I love the players and you love the game." That song was incredibly popular with women for a reason. It resonated with women's proximal emotional reality and distal evolutionary strategy. Players are attractive to women because a player's sons are more likely to be players and thus will spread their seed to a greater variety of partners, thus likely increasing the amount of potential descendants. The reason why men valued virginity in ancient times was primarily because of assurance of paternity. Men have believed for a very long time and witnessed that promiscuous women are less loyal. If you think about it, our ancestors must have encountered and observed a lot of women, obviously. Generation after generation, oftentimes repeated experiences add up and become instincts. The reason why humans are afraid of snakes intuitively is because our ancestors witnessed snakes hurt, poison or kill people over countless generations, and eventually that aversion turned into an instinctual reflex. Regarding promiscuous women, eventually our ancestors started seeing patterns and started talking about them. This became an instinct over time as well. It makes more sense when you think that it's a female reproductive strategy to have the alpha male's babies and then cuckold a beta guy into raising said alpha's kids and having the beta believe said kids are in fact his. A lot of research has been presented by those in the manosphere and by others that have studied female sexuality and their mating habits. Essentially, it's been found that women in aggregate tend to be most attracted to the most quote-unquote alpha guys when they are ovulating. Thus, they tend to try to have sex with these men during the ovulation phase of her cycle, the time when a sexual encounter is most likely to lead to pregnancy. This has been found to be the case even when these girls are in relationships with men who are not alphas. For instance, if a beta guy's girlfriend insists on going on a girls' night out to the club with her friends at a specific date in the month, there's a better chance than average that she will be ovulating. As we all know, this means she will be placing herself in the best position to get the alpha seed during the time of the month when she can put it to best use. Moreover, studies have shown that women tend to orgasm more with alpha guys than they do beta guys, and studies have shown that greater frequency of orgasms during intercourse tend to facilitate a higher probability of pregnancy with the partner who provides that greater rate of orgasm. Female orgasm was an evolutionary filter designed to weed out sperm of males she deemed inferior and to give a green light to sperm she deemed superior by her hypergamous instincts. As such, human female behavior and biology have been optimized biologically and instinctually to juggle sexual encounters with both a beta provider she's sunk her hooks into and thus has control over, while also putting herself into position to have sex with various alpha males along the way. Her very biology and instincts have been geared towards tipping the odds in the favor of her being impregnated by her more alpha partners rather than her loyal beta provider. Also, it's worth noting that before the advent of paternity tests, which were a very recent invention, there was no way of her beta provider man knowing that the child was in fact not his. Unless the child were a completely different race. Effectively making it the perfect crime, from the female's point of view. This is why feminists are fighting tooth and nail to prevent men from having the right to demand proof of paternity before being held responsible for child support. They're doing this to better facilitate their reproductive strategy via enforcement by the state. In other words, feminists are trying to enforce government-enforced cuckolding so women can have the alpha's kids, but also force the beta guy she's with to support the kid, whether the kid is even his. Feminists want a society where 80% of men are cuckolds who pay for children who aren't theirs, and where only 20% of men are allowed to reproduce and who act as sex toys and sperm donors to the feminine imperative, and the other 80% of men serve as slave labor to finance their sexual escapades and raise and provide for their alpha's bastard children. Do I think that most feminists want this situation consciously? Not necessarily, but subconsciously this is the ideal they are aiming for. As such, men intuitively disdaining promiscuous women was an inevitable evolutionary adaptation by the male of our species, all things considered, to quickly filter out women who would be much more likely to actively seek to cuckold him, much in the same way that our instinctual fear of snakes is designed to be a warning signal to make us aware of a potential threat, while the inherent and intuitive male disdain and wariness of promiscuous women is an evolutionary warning signal designed to warn us of a dangerous threat of a different sort. A threat that is perhaps even more dangerous still. If you like my content, bang the bell, like, comment and subscribe.